Hello YouTube and welcome to Factoid. Now, I had a comment on one of my videos recently, a very nice comment, saying that how much my videos had helped them learn about New Zealand. And I've been thinking, you know, that maybe making videos about New Zealand and helping people learn about New Zealand could potentially be a great direction to take the channel in, especially with my Factoid videos. Now, today is the 6th of February, and to most people that's just an ordinary day, but in New Zealand it is most definitely not an ordinary day, because it is Waitangi Day. Now, what is Waitangi Day? Well, let's consult Wikipedia. Not because I don't know what Waitangi Day is, but because there's so much information in history that I can't keep it all in my head. No, Waitangi Day is named after Waitangi, which is where the Treaty of Waitangi was signed. Okay? That's a bit confusing so far. So basically, New Zealand was inhabited by the natives, by the Maori, for so many years. And then you have the European settlers arriving in the 1800s, and possibly even before then. And then in 1840 you have the Treaty of Waitangi signed, which is New Zealand's founding document, and it's basically the document that basically made New Zealand a British colony, pretty much, even though the Maori didn't really know what they were signing up to because of the language barrier, but you know, never mind. Now, so yeah. So the treaty was first signed on the 6th of February 1840 in a marquee in the grounds of James Busby's house, now known as the Treaty House. If you don't know who James Busby is, James Busby is widely regarded as the father of the Australian wine industry, and he was the Bay of Islands councillor. So basically, and he was involved in the Declaration of Independence of New Zealand and the Treaty of Waitangi, and as a British resident he acted as New Zealand's first jurist and the originator of law in Aotearoa. Aotearoa is the Maori word for New Zealand. Now, prior to 1934, most celebrations of New Zealand's founding as a colony were held on the 29th of January. And this is the date in which William Hobson arrived in the Bay of Islands, which had been prepared by colonial office officials in England. Hobson had no draft treaty, and from the British perspective, the proclamation was the key legal document. What the treaty said was apparently less important. Now, in 1932, the Governor-General and his wife purchased and presented to the nation the rundown house of James Busby, where the treaty was initially signed. They subsequently donated £500 to restore the building, because back in those days the New Zealand currency was still British pounds and not the New Zealand dollar. Now, in 1940 an event was held at the grounds commemorating the 100th anniversary of the signing of the treaty. Now, annual commemorations of the treaty's signing began in 1947, so just after the Second World War. The event was mainly a Royal New Zealand Navy event, centering on a flagpole which the Navy had paid to erect in the grounds. The ceremony was brief and it featured no Maori, and the following year a Maori speaker was added to the lineup, and subsequent additions to the ceremony were made nearly every year. From 1952 the Governor-General attended, and the Prime Minister also began attending from 1953, though not every year. From the mid-1950s a Maori cultural performance was usually given as part of the ceremony. Many of these early features remain a part of Waitangi Day ceremonies, including a naval salute, the Maori cultural performance, which is now normally performed at the beginning of the ceremony as a sort of ceremonial welcome. and speeches from a range of Maori and Pākehā dignitaries. Now, Pākehā is the Maori word for white man. Pretty much. Or at least that's what it's come to mean anyway. Anyway, it was basically the Maori word for European, for white man, for not Maori, for when the European settlers came in. So I am a Pākehā because I'm not a Maori, I'm white, I'm European. I mean, obviously I'm European, I'm from London, so... Now, it was the Labour Party who stated in its 1957 election manifesto that it would make Waitangi Day a national holiday. Or public holiday, as we tend to call them here. After winning that year's election, the party said that the country could not afford another public holiday, and the Waitangi Day Act of 1960 allowed localities to transfer the holiday from their existing regional public holiday to Waitangi Day. Yeah, something that a lot of places have is they have these regional public holidays, like you have the Wellington Anniversary Day, where it's only a public holiday in Wellington. There's a similar thing in Auckland, there's a similar thing in Canterbury, and actually we still do that. The Wellington Anniversary was last week, I think. It was 1 or 2 weeks ago. I think it might have been 2 weeks ago, actually. Yeah, I think so. That we had the Wellington Anniversary. Wasn't it? Yeah. And then the Auckland one was a week later. Now in 1963, after a change of government, the passing of the Waitangi Day Amendment Act transferred the holiday observed in Northland on Auckland Anniversary Day to Waitangi Day, and this made Waitangi Day a holiday in Northland only. Now, the transition to a public holiday came in the 1970s, and then it didn't become a nationwide public holiday on its observance until 1974, by first undergoing a name change. In 1971, the Labour Shadow Minister of Maori Affairs introduced a private member's bill to make Waitangi Day a public holiday in New Zealand, but it was going to be called New Zealand Day, and this was not passed into law. Now, after the 1972 election of the third Labour government under Prime Minister Norman Kirk, it was announced that from 1974, Waitangi Day would be a national holiday, the day known as New Zealand Day. The New Zealand Day Act legislation was passed in 1973. For Kirk, the change was simply an acceptance that New Zealand was ready to move towards a broader concept of nationhood. Diplomatic posts had for some years marked the day, and it seemed timely in view of the country's increasing role on the international stage, that the National Day known as New Zealand Day. I'm just reading from Wikipedia at this point. Now, at the 1974 celebrations, the flag of New Zealand was put up instead of the Union flag, right? And also a replica of the flag of the United Tribes of New Zealand was also flown, which is an entirely different story. Now, in 1975, Robert Muldoon's national government was elected, and Muldoon did not like the name New Zealand Day, so he had it changed to Waitangi Day in 1976 when the Waitangi Day Act was passed to change the name back, and also restore Northland's anniversary day to that of Auckland. Also, not only did Robert Muldoon not like the name New Zealand Day, a lot of Maori felt that it debased the treaty, and that Waitangi Day was a more appropriate name for the treaty, and I agree with that, to be honest. Now, in 2013, Waitangi Day underwent what is called Mondayisation. This means that an amendment has been enacted to basically mean that if the 6th of February ever falls on either a Saturday or a Sunday, then the Monday directly after it will be treated as a public holiday, so that everyone still gets a day off if Waitangi Day ever falls on a weekend. And that's pretty much it. Waitangi Day celebrations, they normally commence on the 5th of February, probably, when the political dignitaries are welcomed and hear speeches. The speeches often deal with the issue. Politicians are usually granted speaking rights, but on occasion the privilege of being withdrawn, as with leader of the opposition Helen Clark in 1999, Prime Minister John Key in 2016, when one faction indicated it would even block him from entering the marae, and Prime Minister Bill English in 2017. However, this year, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has been to the marae. Some marae use the day as an open day and an educational experience for local communities elsewhere in New Zealand, so it's celebrated elsewhere. Elsewhere in the world, in London, which is one of the largest New Zealand expatriate populations, the occasion is celebrated by the Waitangi Day Ball, held by the New Zealand Society UK. And yeah, in many other countries with the New Zealand expatriate population, Waitangi Day is celebrated privately, and the day is officially celebrated by all New Zealand embassies and high commissions. For Waitangi Day 2007, Air New Zealand commissioned a number of New Zealanders living in Los Angeles, Southern California, to create a sand sculpture of a silver fern on the Santa Monica beach, creating a stir in the surrounding area. And you can read more about it on Wikipedia and on the internet. If you'd like to know more about the settlers, I'm sure there are other videos you can watch on YouTube about that, or you can talk, or maybe leave a comment if you'd like me to talk about that. I know I'm perhaps not the most interesting person to listen to. So yeah, that is Waitangi Day, and that's what the day means. That's why we celebrate it, and that's why we have a public holiday on the 6th of February. And I hope you learned something about New Zealand. Thanks for watching.